Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Saving Surge podcast. My name is Tenley Irr, and I'm here today to talk to you about money. I'm currently a first-year student at Penn State, where I'm studying finance, and before I get started with this podcast, I would just like to mention that I am not a financial advisor or expert by any means, but I will be sharing a few words of advice that have helped me get financially ahead of the game. So, as you go through school and grow up, you take all of these courses about things such as math, science, and reading, and we are taught to believe that if we go through school and complete these courses, we will be successful. And although I would say that that is half of the battle, the other half is getting a stable source of income and then figuring out what to do with it. As teenagers, most of us are told to get a job and save our money for college, but none of us are actually taught how to save money. We know that money can buy us things and experiences, but what money really is, underneath it all, is just a tool. Not only are we confused on how to save money and what it can do for us, we are told that college and the debt that it brings is inevitable. With this combo of college debt and lack of knowledge on how to save and invest, we end up in a downward spiral. See, people in today's world, especially with inflation being so high, are so far down the rabbit hole in debt, it's making it more difficult for them to retire at a relatively young age with enough money. Like most people, I got my first job at 16, and I saved almost every penny of it by limiting the amount of times I went out and got food and clothes, the usual things that teens spend their money on. And I will say, in order to do this, you do need a little bit of discipline and willingness to sacrifice your ego. And what I mean by this is, you don't need the latest iPhone or newest pair of shoes. Designer brands are not a necessity to live. And let me tell you something that has saved me from making so many unnecessary purchases. Do not go broke trying to look rich, because at the end of the day, nobody cares what car you drive or what shoes you wear or what designer bag you have, but your bank account may care. The financial advisor Dave Ramsey said it best: the three things keeping you broke are greed, fear, and pride.
Greed, fear, and pride. It's the trifecta. And I have done all three, and all three will make you broke. See, pride is, I buy a car to impress someone at a stoplight that I will never meet. Would I buy this if no one ever saw it?
Oh, yeah.
That's your test on the pride button, right? Greed is, I'm just money motivated to the exclusion of other things that are healthy. You can have a money motivation and not being excluded to the exclusion of other things. But if your only button to push is money, that's greed. And the third one I love you said is desperate. That's the worst one. When you get desperate, just about 20 seconds later after I get desperate, I get stupid. And right after I get stupid, I get broke. Right? I mean, it's
crazy how that connection works.
It's a progressive causal thing. Desperate leads to stupid, leads to broke.
So that is kind of the first thing you can do in your control to save money and avoid debt, and this is applicable to anyone of any age. Saving money is hard, but I would say being in debt is definitely harder. Everybody is all about self-care, but this saving money at a young age and avoiding debt is still self-care for your future self. The next thing that is kind of the kicker for people's debt is college. And obviously, everybody's situation is different when it comes to college. For example, going to medical school or law school, you name it, is going to be expensive and will probably drive you into debt. But once you graduate and get into your high-paying profession, you'll be able to pay it off in no time. That is one thing, but you can definitely be a little bit smarter. For example, I'm going to a branch campus of Penn State to save money, And I also received a very generous award. With this on top of my college savings will allow me to graduate debt-free. So when I get out of college debt-free, I will have so many more investment options, or maybe I can get myself an apartment instead of having to move back into my parents' house to pay off my loans. Being debt-free gives you more freedom and headspace to do what you want and when you want. There are numerous ways to get a college degree without debt. Community college is always a good option, as well as there are so many scholarships out there for people. In 2023, borrowers have an average of $37,338 in federal student loan debt and $54,921 in private student loan debt, according to the Education Data Initiative. The student loan debt balance in the United States has increased by 66% over the past decade, and it now totals more than $1.77 trillion, according to the Federal Reserve. Before going to college, take some time to reflect. Do you need to spend $30,000 to $70,000 a year for college?